हम सबके घरों में एक ऐसा पिटारा होता है जिसमें हमारे घर वालों ने खजाने की तरह संभाल के कुछ यादें रख रखी होती हैं। पता है हम सभी की इन फोटोज में क्या कॉमन है? पेशेंस, एक केमिकल प्रोसेस और ये जादुई स्ट्रिप। तीनों को मिला दें और देखें तो सारी यादें ताज़ा हो जाती हैं। 1975 में सब बदल गया। कोडाक लॉन्च द फर्स्ट डिजिटल कैमरा। हाँ जी, वही ब्रांड जो फिल्म फोटोग्राफी के टॉप पे था, उसने खुद ही के पैरों पे कुल्हाड़ी मार ली थी।
With digital technology like this, driving to your local photomat could be a thing of the past.
समय बदला, हम विकसित हुए, नई टेक्नोलॉजी आई और अब एक भारी बल्कि कैमरा इतना छोटा हो चुका था कि आपकी पैंट्स की जेब में आ जाए। बट मैं फिल्म फोटोग्राफी की बात क्यों कर रहा हूँ? हमेशा से मेरे घर वालों ने कहानियां सुनाई थी अबाउट हाउ एवरीवन इन माय फैमिली यूज्ड टू लव फोटोग्राफी, और भाई मुझे लेगेसी कंटिन्यू करनी थी। तो इसीलिए मैंने इस बार अपने दिल की सुनी और खर्चा कर दिया एंड आई फाइनली गॉट माय फर्स्ट फिल्म कैमरा। 3 दिन लगे ये डिसाइड करने में कि पहली फोटो किस चीज की लूं, और जब फाइनली शटर बटन प्रेस किया तो अंदर से बस एक ही सवाल आया कि बेटा व्हाट इफ कुछ अप हुआ हो। बट दिल को दिलासा दी और इंतजार किया। 20 दिन लगे पूरा 36 फोटोज का रोल भरने में, और फिर ऑलमोस्ट 7 से 8 दिन वेट किया डेवलपमेंट एंड स्कैनिंग के लिए। और जब फाइनली फोटोज देखी तो आई ऑलमोस्ट क्राइड। फिल्म फोटोग्राफी की इंडिया में अब एक बहुत छोटी सी कम्युनिटी है, लेकिन सब के सब एक दूसरे की बहुत हेल्प करते हैं। मेरे भी कुछ दोस्तों ने मेरी बहुत हेल्प करी इन चूजिंग माई फर्स्ट फिल्म कैमरा, माई फर्स्ट फिल्म रोल, और मेरे फालतू के सवालों का उन्होंने बहुत शांति से जवाब दिया। ऐसे ही एक दिन मैंने डिस्कवर किया Zhenwei फिल्म लैब थ्रू माई इंस्टाग्राम रिकमेंडेशंस। बस फिर मैं एक दिन निकल गया मुंबई के लिए और आदित्य एंड यश से मिला। लैब का पूरा टूर भी लिया एंड बिहाइंड द सीन्स देखे, खूब सारी बातें करी एंड लास्ट में डोंबिवली के इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया में एक छोटी सी फोटो वॉक भी करी। ये वीडियो थोड़ा लंबा हो सकता है, बट अगर आपको फोटोग्राफी एंड फिल्म फोटोग्राफी में इंटरेस्ट है तो आपको काफी मजा आने वाला है। चलो जल्दी से वीडियो की शुरुआत करते हैं। So guys, tell me something about yourself first.
This is Aditya Tawate. I did my engineering first, and then I was doing my masters from NID.
Okay.
In photography. I'm still completing it, and then I got into this film.
Okay. And what about you?
So my name is Yash, Yeri, and I basically have a photography education background as well. I completed a 2.5 year diploma course from School of Photography in Pune. And after that we were like 3-4 friends who started using film and all those things, and now somehow we are here.
So like इनका चलो समझ में आता है, इन्होंने फोटोग्राफी से ही स्टार्ट किया। आपने you did engineering first and then got into photography. So what made you do the move?
There was nothing radical as in I was interested in photography. Like generally I was interested in photography, and when I was doing a job at the same time I was interested in graphic designing and stuff. So I was inclined a little there. Then I got to know about this school. I wanted at least a kind of degree that it would help me in my building my career. And I think I tried 2 attempts. I got in, and that is how I switched from engineering to photography.
What was that point कि you guys felt कि भाई फिल्म पे शूट करना है? Like because अभी तो चलो फिर भी people are shifting more towards film analog, but I guess 2-3 years back इतना भी नहीं था. So what was that spark कि like फिल्म पे शूट करते हैं?
After my college, we were 4-5 friends who got introduced to this medium, and after learning photography and doing commercial jobs for 2 years almost, we got introduced to a medium which was very new to us. We started experimenting. We were experiencing a lot of errors, and learning those things on our own was a very different thing for us. So that's where it triggered me also at that time to try it out wherever, whenever, how I can.
Okay. And what about you?
And there was no I did not know anything about film. I just went into the photography school. I was just learning the basics of photography. I never shot any commercial thing or anything. I was just interested in photography. That's what I was doing, and I was trying to kind of change my career into something creative, not photography, to be very specific. And I think we had a subject where we were being introduced to analog and how it started and stuff. It was a couple of weeks of the whole module, and yeah, that was my introduction to it. I shot a film, I developed it there, and yeah, it was printing was actually the interesting part for me, where I used to sit in the dark room and work, and that was a kind of a cozy space that I realized it was for me. Yeah, and then I think in the lockdown, that the only thing I was trying to find is a dark room to work in.
So can you explain, like either of you explain कि film exactly कैसे काम करती है and how is it different from a digital sensor?
Film is it's just a physical form of how your digital sensor works. I feel most of the things that I might say might not be technically correct, but it's a logical way of explaining, I guess. So film is your sensor basically, where you are using a new sensor every time to take a new image, right? You're basically where your digital sensor comes. It's a static sensor, right? Film is where you advance the sensor, okay, and you take an image on every new kind of surface.
How does it work? Like
so your film has a photosensitive layer, which is known as the emulsion. Different films will have different kinds of emulsion. For example, color film will have a color emulsion, which is sensitive to color, or basically your light. Whereas your black and white will only be sensitive to, like it will have no dyes, color dyes per se. It will be sensitive to light and create a black and white negative out of it.
okay.
And whenever you expose, the exposure and everything is just like your digital cameras. And whenever you expose your image to a film, it creates a latent image, okay? And then you have to make sure your sensor or your film does not get exposed to other light other than your image that you are exposing it to. And then you have to develop it in a sort of chemistry, which has to be a recommended chemistry, because like I said, there are different kinds of films, so different kinds of processes for different kinds of films as well.
So we can easily replicate a film look, I quote, on any digital photo, है ना? Like आज के time पे there are thousands of presets, या anyone can custom create a look कि मेरे को Potra 400 का look चाहिए तो मैं वो create कर सकता हूँ. Then why are people moving to film again?
Now, I mean, there can't be any specific answer to it, because I think everyone will have their own reason. He'll have his own reason. I'll have my own reason. But I believe, I mean, it can also be a reason where people are trying to experience something new to create their work. And a lot of people have a very similar reason, saying that it slows them down while using it. They think a lot while shooting, and they can just connect their inner self while shooting, and maybe it doesn't happen with them while shooting digital because it's very quick. You can directly see what happens. Some people actually love the physicality of the film, keeping the negatives, and yeah, maybe there can be many reasons to it.
एक मेरे को क्या लगता है, जैसे for most of us what happens is if we see someone doing some particular thing, तो हम भी वो करना चाहते हैं. And in this case I feel there are a lot of YouTubers, famous YouTubers, let's say Peter McKinnon. So अब now Peter McKinnon has started shooting film, ठीक है, and उसके जो 5-6 million followers हैं वो उसको देख फिल्म पे जाएंगे. Do you think it will create some sort of saturation? Because it is वही बात हो गई, जैसे एक टाइम पे टील एंड ऑरेंज फेमस हुआ था वो लुक, तो every third person on YouTube was replicating that same look without knowing why it is important, या क्या उसका सेंस क्या बन रहा है, is it even complementing? So what are your thoughts on this? Should this happen with film as well? या ये नहीं होना चाहिए?
I feel हाँ सैचुरेट होना चाहिए, बट सैचुरेट होने के बाद मे बी if you see at the end people will stop using any medium. For a lot of people it's the price factor, okay, and the price factor will only get solved when the demand and supply chain is solved. Okay, now here in India, like I'll tell you honestly, people feel that film is expensive. People pay 10,000 rupees roughly for a pack of Potra 400 and all those things. But see, it's like importing American goods. Okay, now it's the same situation for Indian people living in US. They crave for Indian food, they pay a lot, right? For people, 10 people can eat here for what they pay there for Indian food. And the supply chain is very slow right now. So even we have to fulfill the demands only once in a month because we don't have that much of resources right now. And yeah, getting that much of resources and all those things in India from somewhere else is going to be expensive. So yeah, so I think matlab, from my point of view towards the saturation, it should be there, but it should be a slow saturation. एकदम हो गया तो it would be a problem for everyone.
क्योंकि कहीं अभी मैं जैसे देखता हूँ जयपुर में देयर वाज नो फिल्म लैब. मैंने हर एक लैब को जो फेमस बड़े नाम थे सबको कांटेक्ट करा. एवरीवन वाज लाइक आप हो कौन, आपको क्यों शूट करनी है फिल्म? तो जयपुर में देयर इज नो फिल्म कल्चर. और अगर है तो मुझे भी लाइक नहीं समझ में आया अभी तक क्योंकि कोई कम्युनिटी नहीं है. सो आई फील उस अगर हिसाब से सैचुरेशन आए इट इज़ अ गुड थिंग बिकॉज कम्युनिटीज बनेंगी.
The thing about this film photography thing is it's a very physical process. So even getting a film, ठीक है, procuring a film from anywhere, it's a task. ठीक है, तो अगर किसी को give up करना ही है तो वो वहीं पे भी कर सकता है. ठीक है कि it's a little difficult, too difficult, let's not do that. Like how you ventured out in Jaipur, you did not get any film roles, you did not find any film lab. It is the internet that is helping us all, right? I think Peter McKinnon is also reacting and responding to a certain influence that is spread around the world abhi, because if he is trying to shoot film, okay, he is also looking at things around. I think that is my kind of assumption towards it, and then he is trying to influence other people who are his followers. So yeah, it is already the process has already started. Like you consider 2-3 years अभी कह रहे हैं कि फिल्म इंडिया में कम बैक कर रहा है globally. I think it just was existing, but there was no talk about it. Now there is a lot of talk about it globally as well as in India, about how to sustain it and how the saturation kind of will affect it. Can't really tell, but there will be a saturation point, then people will leave it. People are already choosing not to shoot with film because of certain limitations and stuff. But it depends. I think it completely depends on what kind of accessibility points that you get to keep shooting on film.
I mean also where I mentioned about the slow saturation part, I feel that when the demand will go up slowly and people like say innovations and all those things can happen later whenever the demand goes up. There can be someone who suddenly realizes that now there is a lot of demand. Now they can work on a film camera, they can bring out a film camera. There are many things which can come out later. It's just that this medium has to sustain, and that's the problem. If it goes up very quickly and then if the supply chain doesn't provide whatever the client requires, then it becomes a problem at that time. So I feel that if this medium stays longer, for everyone to use it, at least for I believe 5-6 years more. I think there will be a lot of things coming out regarding this medium. I mean, there have been a lot of things actually started out by a lot of people, and I think there can be things happening in India as well. And we are also trying to do a lot of things, but it's just that right now the majority, I mean the people who are using, I mean there are a lot of people who are using it, but compared to what business actually people from other country expect, that can't be fulfilled. So we can't do that much amount. I mean it can be cheaper also. I mean there are companies actually who used to import films, and it used to be cheaper for people as well. But they used to have a big capital to import it, and then that those all things matters.
So tell me something about Zhenwei Film Lab. Like, how did it start, and like what's the story behind it?
See, if I tell you about the name, it's basically it stands for true authenticity in Mandarin. Zhenwei stands for that, and it was basically a very personal space for me in 2018 when I started in a different place. And since I told you I was working with 4-5 friends in Pune, and I wasn't able to go there very usually. So I started it in whatever budget I had and all those things. I started procuring things wherever I can, however I can. At that time, I'll tell you honestly, things were not that expensive. I mean, very cheap at that time from what I consider right now. And so it was a very personal space. I used to work in the dark room with one of my friend. Then he also got busy into his commercial things. Then then basically I shifted it in a more smaller space, somewhere nearby where I was earlier in Palava city. And in the lockdown, I wasn't very keen on working in the dark room and all those, because there wasn't there wasn't anything I can shoot or anything I can do. So I wasn't working in it. And then he got in touch with me from some lab, from a vendor, I guess. He was looking for a dark room to work, because his college was, it was back to his town because college wasn't allowed. Yeah. And so he connected with me, and he mentioned that he and one of his friend wanted to work in the dark room. And usually people who used to connect with me from Mumbai, it used to be very far from them, and I wasn't having any idea where he was based and all those things. So he connected, and he mentioned, and I told him that it would be a bit far for you because it's in Dombivli. And then he mentioned that he stays in the same town. So it was a very, a very unique thing for both of us, where, people with same interest and a place where both of us want to work is in the same town. And then we met. We started working. He used to be there. We both used to hang out there. As it was just a very fun space to be there. We used to work. Then slowly, I think 5-6 months back, I started the Instagram page in 2020, but I wasn't really expecting it to be on a commercial platform at that time. So slowly, then we both decided, and that this actually has a potential somewhere, because we started getting inquiries, and there were people who were inquiring at that time. And then we decided to work together, because honestly, he has a very different type of skill sets which I genuinely don't have. He has a very, being in the engineering background, and also, it's even from the school point of view, he is from a very studious school, and I belong to a very different school. So all those things were very different, and those were complementing things which, we used to work together. There were different things which were handled by both of us. So yeah, that's how we started at that time, and we were in the Palava city where we used to work. It was a very small space also. below. I mean, compared to this. But and also not very organized. It was just in this much of room, and the dark room was in bathroom. It wasn't very organized. And then slowly things got better. We got a little better platform on social media, and people started connecting.
What was the point जब you realized कि it's time to make it big?
There was no specific point where we thought to make it big. I think it was just we were just responding to the kind of inquiries that we were getting, and we were just trying to do more. Okay, for example, we were just doing black and white in the earlier months, and that was the most accessible thing. The vendors we knew and stuff. Every process that we started was kind of a challenge because we had to tweak it according to our space, and we also had to get hold of chemistry and other stuff that we needed for every kind of process, like I mentioned, the processes and everything. And then later on, as we I think managed all these things, then it was about scale of how many films can we process during a month and how many films can we scan. I think that's a very gradual kind of process, how it went, and then we just realized that this process is taking so much time that we have to go full time here. Like there is no, like I also mentioned, doing it on a sideline kind of thing does not really work with this process as of now, for at least us, because you have to invest a lot of time. You have to just be aware of whatever is happening around you. It's not a huge team that is working, so like we are also just doing the routine stuff as well. There are a lot of things that we haven't explored as well, and that are missing in the Indian market. A lot of things, and people have inquiries, and since we are kind of the facilitators here, we have the responsibility of promoting those new kind of processes or offerings to people. So I think as we offer more things, people will be interested in getting those. So yeah. So basically, if you have basic knowledge about film developing, this is a basic tank that is used for manual conversion, manual inversion basically.
Okay.
So this is how it goes. So samjho, if you are in your house and if you want to develop some films, this is the best tank you can use.
Okay.
Okay. The film goes in, the chemistry goes in, और उसके बाद there is an agitation method जहाँ पे you pour the chemistry and you let the chemistry process your negatives or whatever film you are processing.
Okay.
Because we are a lab, so we have to a certain kind of temperature for processing, okay, which is higher than normal.
Okay.
So for black and white, the general temperature is 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
For C41, it is 40.
Okay.
So to maintain the temperature of your chemistry, this bath is used. You can set it on 40, or abhi start.
समझ गया.
So yeah, so this is how it will maintain the chemistry. And for example,
So this is just there to maintain the temperature of the liquid.
Yeah.
Okay. And उसके बाद, so
Yeah.
this is the first process कि liquid का temperature should be at 40. Then उसके बाद you put the films in this.
No, not really. Once you start the motor, it will start rotating.
Okay.
The same technique.
ठीक है.
So this is what you can get as a whole kit,
Okay.
where you can maintain the temperature of the chemistry as well and stuff. Even this system has the same function. This is a custom made, it's an Indian made processor.
Okay.
So it has all the details, कितना RPM पे घूमना चाहिए, and the time as well. So for example, now the timing is one minute, right? If your bath is 1 minute.
तो हर फिल्म के हिसाब से द बाथ टाइम डिफर्स या फिर
According to the process,
okay.
the timing differs. So you can consider black and white as the simplest process.
Okay.
It has a developer, like the actual bath, which converts the film into negatives.
Okay.
It basically deals with your silver on your film. Emulsion as silver,
Right.
उसके बाद there is a stop bath which stops the
Conversion.
developing.
Okay.
Yeah. उसके बाद there is fixer which fixes your emulsion on your film.
Okay. तो like generally इसमें कितना टाइम लगता है तीनों बात में?
For one, if you are like putting one film here और या 5 film डालो, it will take around an hour.
1 घंटे में वो पूरा डेवलप हो जाएगा.
मतलब considering की film है, okay, you have to load it first in the dark.
Right.
Okay? फिल्म को पहले स्पूल पे लोड करना है, okay, something like this. इस पे लोड होता है फिल्म,
Okay.
ठीक है. You put it in the tank, which is a daylight safe tank.
Okay.
ठीक है. उसके बाद you put the lights on, you make your chemistry, ठीक है. You maintain the temperatures. Even for black and white, you have to maintain 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
ठीक है. तो वो तो थोड़ा easy है, like compared to this, which you can use cold water and stuff. ठीक है. You maintain the chemistry temperature and you start the process. ठीक है.
Okay.
And then once the films are processed, you wipe them down so that there are no water stains, and you put them to dry.
Okay.
Drying takes another one and a half hours. So this is a color enlarger.
Okay.
What happens is, I'll just explain this because this is the easiest. Your negatives goes here.
Okay.
So you can see there's a projection. Okay, there's a lamp. There's a condenser head here, a glass piece. Your negatives will go here in a carrier. और यहाँ पे you'll put a enlarging lens.
Okay.
Okay. Just the kind of lens you use in a camera.
Okay.
Basically, this is your camera itself.
Got
it. You put photosensitive paper underneath here.
Okay.
You can use an easel to flatten the paper out, and then you expose it according to various times. So now I've set it to 3 seconds, right? Your paper is here, your negatives are here, you put an enlarging lens, you focus everything, okay, you make a good canvas size here, and you do a 3-second exposure.
And this should be done while the lights are off.
You can do this in the red safe light.
Okay. Got
The
it.
black and white silver gelatin prints can be done in the red safe light. The color prints will have to be done in complete darkness.
Okay.
Okay, once your paper is exposed, you can put trays here. Same method, developer, stop, fixer.
अच्छा उसमें भी वैसा ही होता है.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you just drop the trays as shown in the movies, and your paper is developed.
Okay.
Yeah.
मतलब it's that easy.
It is a little bit easy, but this part is a little difficult. You have
Tricky
to
because
get
you're focused right and everything.
No, you according to different negatives, आपका timing differ होगा. Okay.
कैसे?
Negatives are dense, thin. There are like highlight shadows, right?
Right.
So the projection, the intensity of the projection will depend on how the negative is.
And does this come from experience की like कितना projection time होना
it
चाहिए
comes
या
from
there is a set guideline?
No, it comes with experience. Your paper also matters a lot.
Okay.
You have different kind of paper. There is a contrast paper. There is a multigrade paper. Where you can change the contrast even. There are papers where you cannot change the contrast.
Okay.
Okay. So that is also a thing. A lot of things there. और आपका like if you are enlarging something big, okay. For example, if it's like 12 by 16, this will definitely go up because of the projection.
Right.
So as it goes up, the intensity
Lightens, yes.
decreases, your timing increases. So you just have to know the proportions, what is directly and inversely proportional to each other.
It's like the exposure triangle आपको आना चाहिए कि कैसा
exactly.
होता है. Okay.
And you do lap timings first, you do test prints first, you see what kind of exposure is good for your print. उसके बाद you can just tune it down to a narrower timing. And then there's dodging, burning, वो तो that is advanced thing.
Okay.
Whatever you do in Photoshop, you can do it here as well. These are both flatbed scanners.
Okay.
Epson V850 Pro.
Okay. अब ये बताओ एक फ्लैट बेड स्कैनर और एक नॉर्मल स्कैनर में क्या फ़र्क होता है, लाइक व्हाई यूज दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग फॉर स्कैनिंग फिल्म्स?
Basically, flatbed scanners are meant for photo scanning or film scanning.
Okay.
Your normal scanner that some print wala or Xerox guy has will only give you document scanning.
Okay.
Because it needs a backlit. Your film needs a backlit source. This will provide you with a good amount of
Okay.
light in that sense.
Okay.
And it also has your compatible film holders. जिसमें you can put films inside.
तो वो साथ में मतलब पूरा पैकेज आता
And
है.
also the sensor also matters because it's a high pass optic system.
Okay.
So because you are going to put light through the transparencies, there is to extract the details you need better optics basically.
ओके. सो लाइक नॉर्मल अगर हम जैसे प्रिंटर वाले स्कैनर्स होते हैं उससे कोई शूट करेगा तो देयर इज नॉट मच यू कैन डू विद द स्कैन्स.
Yeah, it's better to scan with your phone than those scanners.
ओके. ओके. डू यू थिंक जब ऐसे ज़्यादा लोग यूज़ करने लगेंगे फिल्म को, सो फिल्म वीडियो विल ऑल्सो मेक अ कम बैक, like 8mm 16mm video?
It never went away. It is compared to a still photo film, the motion picture film is more accessible to people.
But that is 35mm wala, right?
No, 16mm is also accessible. You can also get 8mm. It's just that to process 8mm, there are not a lot of labs who offer in India for 8mm. But 16mm and 35mm, it's very accessible. It's not, I mean, it's not a very big deal to get or to shoot. It's just about, like I said, in the motion picture thing, I think it's about preference or how people use it. It never went away like that. People thought that it really went away, but it never did go.
Yeah, and I think it will kind of follow the similar path where a lot of film photographers who worked with still photos had a lot of stock with them, but there were no labs, or labs just faded away or just converted into digital. But there were still a few number of labs who are still working with still photos, motion picture, and you call it like stuff. It will kind of follow the same path where as the demand grows, there will be a lot of more people like just like us who are interested and who would like to facilitate that.
I know one thing, कि brands are introducing these respooled films like you're also doing. What are some other things that brands are offering in India, like current film labs, जैसे Panchrome project है, Zhenwei है. So ऐसी क्या क्या चीज़ें और offer हो रही हैं या हो सकती हैं future में to make it more helpful or easier for budding film photographers?
I think one thing that is lacking is camera and camera accessories, repairs. Those are very narrowed down niche kind of places that you have to go. There are only a few people and there is no passing of the knowledge to other people who might continue all of this stuff. Other than that, I think there are labs popping up here and there. Almost like I don't know about Rajasthan, but most of the states have at least one film lab right now. There is a lab in Northeast India, Delhi. There are metro cities. They definitely have film labs. Film is being accessed now. There are, like you spoke about, Panchrome. There are other people, the old vendors who kind of again they went into a digital camera equipment and accessory. They are also importing. Everyone just responding to the kind of demand they are getting right now. So yeah, they will have contacts. They will have the knowledge. We know of companies who are making their own chemistry now. Okay, they're trying to make their own chemistry. There are companies who have stopped sometime in the lockdown. So yeah, this stuff is going in the background, happening in the background. And yeah, that is how it is. I think about cameras, it's a very global kind of question. Who will step into this, whole manufacturing process? While talking about like Indian market, even in globally, the same processing is being followed where people are just refurbishing older cameras because they also have a good durability and good life. compared to your plastic digital cameras, right? There are companies, Pentax has launched their camera. There's Lomography who is doing this. I don't think in Indian market there will be any kind of manufacturing process very soon, because there was only one film company who was manufacturing films in India. It was Hindu
film.
Okay. Hindu. There was this whole made in India kind of that I think it went bankrupt sometime in 2015 or something like that. So to revive all of that is quite a task, I feel. So what we can do best as in the Indian market is just to make things more accessible, just like vendors talking to Fuji, bringing more films in Kodak. That's what can happen in the future.
And maybe, I mean, if you talk about new cameras, if you just take out 35mm as a part right now, there are many companies, who are making medium format and large format cameras. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So like there's a company called Chroma Camera who makes a 3D printed medium format camera. So it's a camera body which takes a large format lens. So there are 3D printed camera bodies which are made by several companies. There is, I think, Chamonix doesn't make it, but Chroma makes it. I mean, I remember Chroma Camera right now because it's in my head, but there are many other companies like this who are making medium format cameras. Large format cameras were never dead. I mean, they are still alive since a long time. Like Lenovo makes it, Arca Swiss makes it. I think Sinar gave things to someone else, but Sinar also has a digital medium of it, which can take a medium format back if you have an older one, which would never die. So when it comes to medium format and large format film, which are usually there are many commercial and professional artists outside. I mean, maybe in India also there might be who shoot on it. So there is a market for them. For 35mm, I don't know from a technical point of view, but I believe that there are a lot of mechanical small parts, which goes into a 35mm SLR, which is not very easy for anyone to make it. And I also think that every company who made it at that time might have a patent on how they made it and what parts they are using. So I believe that in 35mm there are a lot of things which goes while making a 35mm SLR. When it comes to point and shoot, Kodak, Lomography, all those companies have come up with some cameras, understanding that there is a market out there for people who are, like I'll tell you honestly, a lot of people who are using 35mm point and shoots and are maybe influenced by a lot of celebs out there who use for parties and all those things. So they understood that, then they maybe created a small point and shoot camera. Kodak did it. So maybe that was the point of perspective they had at that time. But like Pentax has promised that they are coming up with a SLR. I think it's not a big deal for them to make an SLR. It's a big deal for them to market that SLR in a way that, because at the end, even producing one camera will have an entire production unit, which will cost a lot. So to understand that part and how to market it globally is going to be difficult, because any camera I believe is coming right now, even a 35mm SLR, a brand new, if they are launching, I won't think they price it below 50,000 rupees, even in Indian rupees. So if that camera is coming in India, it will be like 65,000 rupees. So to market a film camera where people are having cameras of 10,000, 15,000 rupees, where they are happy using it, why would someone buy a 50,000-60,000 camera? So maybe they are waiting for people to have more dead film cameras around them, and then maybe they'll launch something.
I think it is also a process where they are testing out the waters by making all these focus free. Kodak has made one. Lomography always makes something like that. So all these are kind of all these efforts or attempts are looking towards how sustainable is for themselves as a manufacturing company, to just see if they can really make a SLR or a series of cameras, later down the line. But that's good news. Like even if they are making some kind of point and shoot cameras, I think all of the people who are into film photography and who want to support film photography should be happy with something that is being made.
So lastly, I would like to ask, if someone wants to get into film, who has no clue about it, what are some resources they can refer to? What are some things they should keep in mind, if you could tell the viewers?
I think there are many things, but first thing, I think someone should actually keep it in mind that it's a medium which requires a lot of trial and error. I mean, it is not something, if you are lucky enough, you'll have very decent and good results when you started, but not really happens with a lot of people. So, so yeah, it's a medium where it will require time to understand it, and and that one thing which a lot of people believe that yes, every film has a certain look. It does, definitely. That's the reason they make different films, but it's not every film will react in the same way in the given lighting situation. Okay, it's a film which is definite. Film is a light demanding medium which will require light, and it mostly reacts to the reflected light. So the white balance, everything, all things come in where you need to take time to understand that medium. So it's the one thing I would say to start off, that if you are considering this to be your serious photography medium and those things, I would suggest that just give time to yourself and just don't keep film in your camera for 6-7 months. Shoot it as quickly as possible, or consider it as it's like having a food which is obviously going to get bad if you keep it as long as you can. So that's a problem for it.
It begins with if your camera is tested or not. Maybe the lab is doing everything right, but your camera is not helping you out. So even one factor can just ruin your first film experience, kind of thing. So just giving yourself time and not just putting a finger that this is going to be my serious kind of hobby or a serious career choice or something like that. That's what is necessary, I feel, and just slowly and steadily moving into what is now a new kind of experience for any photographer.
Would you recommend anyone to directly jump onto a DSLR, fully mechanical DSLR, or a rangefinder, or would you suggest that everyone should start with a point and shoot to actually get the feel of film?
I would suggest that get a SLR, because I mean, if you want to seriously do something, and it's a simple reason that like someone who wants to buy a DSLR these days, understanding it has a lot of controls. It won't have a lot of controls, but it will give you, I mean, it would give you a start where you won't have a very easy start. So it will at least help you understand that there is some time it takes some time, all those things. I believe that it has to be an SLR or something which helps you do something manually with the camera.
Mostly depends on what kind of availability you have. If you have a point and shoot sitting in your home, just try it out. Go with a cheap film first. If it does not work, go with some other camera. If your budget suits, go for a bigger camera, for a good camera, for a SLR. So I think it completely depends on what kind of circumstances you are in. And if everything, you just get the basics right, I think then you can just, you will basically yourself understand what kind of a gear you need next time that you're shooting film for anything that you're doing personally. Yeah.
Like there is a very minor mistake which happens a lot of times where people think that a 400 ISO film shot at 800 is where they overexpose it, which is not overexposing the film, because it is underexposing the film. because that is the problem we face in our generation, because we were having ISO with where we increase the ISO and it increases the light intensity in your photo. Okay, that is a problem. But when it comes to film, the film remains 400 ISO film. It doesn't change. Okay, when you shoot it at 800, you do it maybe because your hands are shaky, you are in a low light situation and you want to shoot it at 800. But when you shoot it at 800, you actually you go from 1 by 125th to 1 by 250th, which is underexposing the film, right? Yeah. So this is a very manual error which a lot of people do, where they say that they shoot it at 800 and they have overexposed the film. But when it comes to film, changing the ISO will only change your metering. It won't affect your ISO on the film. It's not like the digital sensor.
400 ISO की फिल्म को 800 पे अगर शूट करते हैं और शटर स्पीड 250 1 by 250 नहीं करते हैं, 1/125 रखते हैं, then that's overexposing.
हाँ, मतलब 125th से if you are going to 250th, it's obviously underexposing. When you go to 800 to 400, it's overexposing. ISO doesn't change.
Parameter does not change. That
Just for your metering, nothing else.
Right. तो मेरे को यार अपने कैमरास दिखाओ, है ना? Like I would love to see a medium format camera. मेरे पास तो एक छोटा सा DSLR है, बस उससे शूट करता हूँ. तो let's look at Aditya's and Yash का camera collection and then we can wrap up this episode. ठीक है. So Yash, can you give me a quick camera tour? Like मेरे को बहुत सारे cameras दिख रहे हैं यहाँ पे. Tell me कौन सा कैमरा क्यों इतना special है and like some more details about each format.
So basically, I'll start with the Yashica FX3 Super. I mean, it's called Super 2000 because it has a 2000 shutter speed. This is a special thing for us because we have used many Yashica FX3, but most of them had a very accurate light meter.
Okay.
Like we almost sometimes, even if we are not shooting a 35mm film, we take it with us as a light meter.
Okay.
As a very accurate light meter. Then basically a Nikon AF camera, which was an affordable Nikon AF system. Nikon came with, I believe, I mean, I'm not very sure, but it was a bit affordable at that time. And it has autofocus. I'm not sure if it has battery right now inside, but it doesn't have. But it has autofocus and has like 4 autofocus points inside.
Okay.
And it works similarly like the Yashica does. And it also has a auto mode with it on it, where you can set it, and you have to set the lens also on this, where when both are aligned and it works auto.
Okay.
The aperture and shutter speed is set by the camera, and it works. And then here is the ISO dial for it. You just have to lift the dial and change it.
Okay.
And then there is exposure compensation as well, where you can press this and move this. Rest, if you don't want to use AF, there are other options also, and it also has a basically I just don't remember right now what it's called, but it has a green and red dot inside, where if the photo is in focus, the subject is in focus, it just shows green dot inside the viewfinder, where you understand if you are focusing manually.
Got it.
So it's like focus peaking these days on a mirrorless camera. So the next is, I mean, we got this Nikon F3 for us. It came with a motor winder. It also has a flash with it, which we generally use. And this is basically a 100mm lens, and not sure if it has battery. It should. Yeah, basically just shoot it. You don't have to wind or do anything. Just put it on S.
Okay.
And it shoots. And rest everything works like how it should. The shutter speed and everything else. It has a ISO dial here, like the Nikon AF had, and it has a removable prism where you can remove this.
Okay.
And you can use this as a waist level finder. F3 is a camera which we use a lot because of the Nikon lenses and their quality.
Then we
have a medium format system, which is a Bronica 645. It came with us with a 35mm back, and where basically we can put 35mm film inside and shoot with it
Okay.
on a medium format camera, which basically gives more superior quality compared to a 35mm lens because of the image circle, and you shoot it directly from the center of the lens.
Is it like, to basically explain, sum this up, is it like shooting on 6K and downscaling it to 4K?
Similarly, like, yeah, I mean, it's a crop of a bigger sensor, but on this thing it's like shooting on a bigger image circle lens, and you're just taking taking photo from the center of the lens and not using the entire image circle of it, which obviously results in much better image quality.
Got it.
It is preferred mostly by a lot of photographers because of the quantity of images you get from this is 15-16 images, and yeah, I mean, usually you get like 10 images, 8 images from medium format, or 12 images.
Okay.
So 16 images is a better count which people use. You have a large format camera basically, which it's a 4x5 camera.
Okay.
Okay, it's a complete view camera where even behind the when you look through the viewfinder, it's basic through the ground glass, not the viewfinder, through the ground glass, it's inverted and flipped.
Okay.
Okay, so you look upside down and it's also flipped.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, so it has a sheet film. Aditya will explain you in a bit about the sheet film and all those things. So basically it has a sheet film, and people do shoot much more bigger film on bigger format, but usually a lot of people shoot 4x5 film because it's also a large format film, and also it's not that expensive compared to 8x10 film.
Got it.
So yeah, so this are the camera systems we use at our end majorly.
ये इतना casually बोला गया है ना, but बहुत सारे photographers का सपना होता है ऐसे setup को रखना.
I mean, it also took a while for us to buy them all.
What camera did you start with?
I mean, we had this
The FX3.
yeah.
Okay. So, and what about you?
So basically it's a camera which he
साथ
bought
में.
from me a long time back.
Okay.
And then eventually it's a camera which is the most trusted camera these days for us.
So Aditya, now we'll be taking a look at different types of film, right? And
Right.
what do they look like after they're developed? So
Yeah.
what are we looking at right now?
So this is a 35mm black and white negative.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So in comparison, this is how a color film will look like. A C41 processed film.
Okay.
A motion picture stock, which is also developed in ECN, might look the similar. The base is like different for different films, but generally it is an orange base.
Okay.
Now coming to positive films, this is how a 35mm color positive will look like.
Okay.
It will just show you the actual image
Actual
that you
color.
have shot. Changing formats, this is how 120 film, this is 6x7 format.
Okay.
film.
And this is a color negative.
This is color negative, C41 process.
C41. So C41 will have.
Yeah,
Orange
most of the films will have. There are different films which have a different kind of emulsion and a base, but generally it will show you a orange base and the image on it.
Okay. Like ये जो base होता है इससे कुछ फर्क पड़ता है?
No, it is just like a. So basically, all the films have a acetate base, which is a component or like a plastic component. So it is just for to identify what film is what.
Got it. ठीक है.
Black and white films will have a clear base, whereas a positive film, because it is this part is not exposed to light, it will turn black because it's a positive film. Whereas here, in a C41 or even if with a black and white, the parts which are not exposed will turn into the most neutral kind of color.
Okay.
In C41 it will have a orange base,
Okay.
and for a black and white it will have a grayish base.
Okay.
Yeah, so the more darker colors you see on the negatives is those parts are the highlights or the overexposed parts.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, this is how your 4x5 sheet film looks.
Okay.
Sheet film is used for the 4x5 cameras, or
The
the
large
larger
format.
yeah, the large format cameras.
The
mechanism
basics are
remains.
same.
Yeah,
बस
yeah,
size
yeah.
बड़ा है.
Yeah, the formats are changing, the sizes are changing basically.
Got it.
Okay.
So yes guys, that was it for this video. I am very sorry. I know थोड़ा ज़्यादा मैंने फोटो वॉक का बोला था स्टार्टिंग में, बट एक्चुअली वो पॉसिबल नहीं हुआ क्योंकि इवन दो वी डिड गो आउट, बट मेरी जो फिल्म थी, मेरा फिल्म रोल था, वो रिवाइंड करते वक्त पूरा बाहर आ गया था एंड देयर वाज नो वे फॉर मी टू रिवाइव इट. तो वो फ़ोटो सारी वेस्ट हो चुकी हैं. तो आई एम वेरी सॉरी फोटो वॉक नहीं है, बट आई गेस आई जस्ट टेक दिस एज एन एक्सपीरियंस एंड होपफुली फिर कभी हम एक फ़ोटो वॉक कर लेंगे जयपुर में. बट yep, that was it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.